Have you ever looked around and felt like you just don't belong anywhere? Like the way you think, feel, and see the world is somehow different from everyone else? If you have, don't worry. You're not strange. And there's nothing wrong with you. You may simply have what psychologists call a rare personality type, the kind of personality that only a small percentage of people ever develop. People with rare personalities tend to move through life differently. They think deeper, feel stronger, and see through things most people completely miss. They're the ones who notice energy in a room, who sense when someone's being fake, and who can read meaning in silence better than others can in words. And yet this depth can sometimes feel like a curse, because when your mind and soul operate at a higher level, the world can start to feel painfully shallow. But the truth is, your uniqueness isn't something to hide. It's your superpower. And once you understand how your rare personality works, you'll stop doubting yourself and start realizing how powerful you really are. So, if you've ever felt misunderstood, too emotional, or too different, listen closely. There are certain signs, subtle, yet powerful, that show you might have one of the rarest personality types on the planet. And by the time you hear them all, you'll begin to see yourself in a completely new light. One of the first signs is that your mind never rests. You don't just think about things, you dive into them. When others are satisfied with simple answers, you keep digging for truth. You analyze people's words, motives, and even their tone. You notice patterns, body language, and contradictions that slip past everyone else. Sometimes it feels exhausting, because you can't switch it off. But this is what gives you extraordinary insight. You can sense when something's off before anyone else realizes it. And even if you don't always speak up, you just know. That quiet inner knowing is one of your greatest gifts. Another thing about people with rare personalities, they don't care about fitting in. It's not that they can't fit in. It's that they don't want to. You'd rather be authentic and alone than fake and surrounded by noise. You don't follow trends just to belong. You wear, say, and believe what feels real to you. And that confidence, that sense of inner truth, often intimidates people who are used to hiding behind masks. But being authentic also comes with a price. You might have noticed that when you stop pretending, certain people drift away. Some can't handle your honesty. Some get uncomfortable around your calm independence. And that's okay. Rare souls attract fewer people, but the connections they do make are deep, loyal, and meaningful. You probably value quiet moments more than constant company. You like deep conversations, the kind that make time disappear. But small talk drains you. You might be in a room full of people and still feel alone, because no one's really there. And that's when your rare personality shows the most. In your ability to feel everything so deeply, even when you stay silent. You've also likely noticed that people often come to you for advice. They sense that you see things clearly, that you don't judge but understand. Even strangers might open up to you without knowing why. It's because your energy feels safe. It invites honesty. You can hold space for others in a way that few can, because you've learned to sit with your own emotions instead of running from them. And here's something else that sets you apart. You don't seek validation. Sure, compliments feel nice, but you don't depend on them. You've learned that real confidence doesn't come from being liked. It comes from knowing who you are when no one's watching. That kind of quiet strength, that grounded energy, it's magnetic. People might not always understand it, but they feel it. And it's what makes others respect you even when they can't explain why. Sometimes, though, having a rare personality can make relationships difficult. You may feel like you love harder, care deeper, and think further than most people around you. And it can hurt when others can't meet you at that level. But don't let that make you close off. Your depth isn't a weakness. It's what gives meaning to your connections. You're not too much. You're exactly enough for the kind of people who are meant to meet you. You also have a natural sense of purpose, even if you can't always define it. Something inside you refuses to live a shallow life. You might look at the world and think, there has to be more than this. And you're right. That inner voice pushing you to grow, to create, to search, it's the mark of a rare soul. Your life may not always be easy. Rare personalities often experience more solitude, more introspection, and sometimes more pain. But they also experience more meaning. Because you don't live on autopilot, you live awake. You see beauty others overlook, lessons others ignore, and possibilities others can't imagine. You see, people with rare personalities tend to carry a kind of emotional intelligence that can't be taught. You can read a room without anyone saying a word. You can feel when someone is hurting, even behind a smile. And though that awareness makes you compassionate, it can also make you tired, because you absorb other people's energy like a sponge. You might walk into a crowded place and instantly feel overwhelmed, not by the noise, but by the emotions floating in the air. That sensitivity can feel like a burden, but it's actually a form of wisdom. You understand life not only through logic, but through empathy. And that balance between intellect and intuition is what makes you extraordinary. You've probably been called too sensitive or too emotional at some point, but those words usually come from people who are uncomfortable with their own emotions. The truth is, your sensitivity is your strength. It allows you to connect, to heal, to create beauty out of pain. You can turn heartbreak into art, disappointment into wisdom, loneliness into self-discovery. Where others see endings, you see transformation. That's what rare souls do. They turn pain into purpose. Another sign you have a rare personality is that you think independently. You don't accept something as true just because everyone else does. You question things. You reflect. You research. You form your own opinions, and you're not afraid to stand alone with them. This independence of thought is rare in a world where most people seek approval more than truth. But it's what gives you authenticity. You'd rather be misunderstood for being real than praised for being fake. You also have a deep sense of integrity. You can't lie easily, not because you're afraid of getting caught, but because it feels wrong to your soul. You can't pretend to be someone you're not. You can't stay in situations that drain your spirit. That honesty might cost you certain opportunities, but it earns you something far more valuable: self-respect. You sleep peacefully because you live in alignment with your truth. There's also something magnetic about you. People might not always understand you, but they're drawn to you. They can sense that you operate from a different frequency. Calmer, wiser, more centered. You don't chase attention. It just finds you, because energy doesn't lie. When you respect yourself, others feel it. When you walk in self-trust, people notice. It's not arrogance, it's quiet confidence. The kind that doesn't need to prove anything. At the same time, your rare personality might make you feel isolated. You can be surrounded by people and still feel alone. Because real connection for you isn't about company, it's about depth. You crave conversations that feed your soul, not just fill the silence. You long for people who listen to understand, not to respond. And because such people are rare, you often end up walking parts of your journey alone. But solitude doesn't scare you. It nourishes you. You've learned that time alone is how you recharge, how you reconnect with your purpose, how you hear your inner voice again. Another unmistakable trait of rare personalities is their quiet resilience. You've likely gone through things that could have broken you, but didn't. Instead, they shaped you. You might have cried, stumbled, even lost yourself for a while. But you always came back stronger. You don't seek revenge or pity. You simply rise, silently, gracefully, and let your growth speak for itself. People often wonder how you do it, how you stay calm through chaos. But that's your secret. You've learned to trust the process. You understand that everything, even pain, has meaning. And because of that, you live with a kind of peace that confuses people. You don't react to drama. You observe it. You don't chase after validation. You give it to yourself. You don't need constant noise. You find comfort in stillness. That inner calm is the result of self-awareness, the kind that only comes after years of reflection, heartbreak, and healing. It's the kind of wisdom that can't be faked. You might also notice that people often project their insecurities onto you. They might say you think you're better, or too different, or too quiet. But the truth is, your presence triggers what they haven't faced in themselves. You don't even have to speak. Your energy exposes what's real, and that's another sign of your rare nature. Your very existence challenges others to look deeper. You awaken something in them. Sometimes discomfort, sometimes admiration, sometimes both. Because of that, you often become a mirror for others, not because you try to be, but because your presence reflects truth. And truth is rarely comfortable. When people are around you, they can't hide behind masks for long. Your energy gently but firmly peels away pretenses. You see through flattery, manipulation, and superficial charm. It's not about judging others. It's about sensing what's real and what's not. You feel authenticity like warmth and deception like a chill. That's a gift few possess. You might also have a deep appreciation for solitude and simplicity. You don't need constant stimulation to feel alive. You're not afraid of quiet moments or empty spaces. While most people fill every silence with noise, you find beauty in stillness. You enjoy walking alone, watching sunsets, reading, or simply thinking. To the outside world, it might seem boring, but to you, it's freedom. It's the peace of not needing to perform, to prove, or to please. That's what makes your energy so grounding. Rare personalities also have a strong connection with purpose. You can't just exist aimlessly. You need meaning behind what you do, whether it's your work, relationships, or hobbies. If it doesn't align with your deeper values, you'll eventually walk away. You crave authenticity in every corner of your life. You can't fake enthusiasm for things that don't resonate with your soul, and that integrity often leads you down unconventional paths. You may not follow the same timeline as others, and that's okay. You're not here to blend in. You're here to build something that feels real. This brings us to another defining trait. You're often misunderstood. Because your priorities are different, people might label you as distant, mysterious, or even cold. But that's not true. You simply don't waste your energy on superficial things. You choose quality over quantity in every aspect: friends, conversations, goals. And in a world obsessed with speed and appearances, that makes you stand out. People might not understand your depth, but those who do never forget you. There's also something timeless about how you carry yourself. You don't chase trends. You move with quiet confidence. You could walk into a room and instantly shift the energy, not because of your appearance, but because of your presence. You listen more than you speak. You observe more than you react. And when you finally talk, people listen, because your words carry thought, not noise. You've learned that silence often speaks louder than a crowd. Another rare trait is that you forgive, but you don't forget the lesson. You can let go of resentment without allowing history to repeat itself. You've learned to accept apologies without reopening old doors. That emotional maturity protects your peace. It shows that you understand people's flaws, but also respect your own boundaries. You've realized that love without limits isn't compassion, it's self-abandonment. So you give deeply, but wisely. You also have a special relationship with growth. You're not afraid of change. You welcome it. You've learned that staying the same is more painful than evolving. You see every mistake as a teacher. Every heartbreak is a doorway to self-awareness. You don't seek perfection, you seek progress. That mindset allows you to reinvent yourself over and over again without fear. And that adaptability is part of what makes your personality so unique. It's likely that you value truth over comfort. You'd rather face a difficult truth than live in a pleasant illusion. That's why small talk drains you, but deep conversation excites you. You're interested in what lies beneath the surface. People's fears, dreams, patterns, beliefs. You want to understand what drives them, what heals them, what keeps them awake at night. You don't just hear, you listen. You don't just look, you see. And in doing so, you make others feel seen too, often for the first time. Rare personalities also have a natural sense of calm leadership. You don't need a title or authority to influence others. You inspire by example. Your integrity, patience, and emotional control make people trust you. You don't dominate, you guide. You don't preach, you live your truth. That's why others often come to you for advice. Not because you have all the answers, but because you listen without judgment. And perhaps one of the most beautiful signs of a rare personality is your capacity for gratitude. You notice small things, the warmth of sunlight, a kind gesture, the sound of laughter. You don't take people for granted. You've probably lost enough to know the value of what remains. That perspective keeps your heart open even after pain. You still choose kindness, not because the world is fair, but because you are. You may not always feel like you belong in this world, but that's because you're here to remind it what really matters. Your presence is a quiet rebellion against the noise, against superficiality, greed, and fear. You lead not by force, but by authenticity. And that's the rarest thing of all. You see, rare personalities don't shout to be heard. They don't demand attention, chase validation, or try to prove their worth. They simply are, and that quiet confidence is magnetic. You don't need to convince anyone of your value because your presence already speaks it. You embody it in how you treat others, how you handle challenges, and how you stay grounded even when life tests you. People may not always understand you, and sometimes they'll even distance themselves from you because your truth makes them face their own. That's okay. You were never meant to be universally liked. You were meant to be real. The world is full of people who play roles, but very few who live authentically. You're one of the few, and that's what makes your energy unforgettable. Another sign of a rare personality is your ability to walk away with grace. You don't burn bridges out of anger. You simply understand that peace is worth more than being right. You can say no without guilt, goodbye without bitterness, and I wish you well without resentment. That emotional strength doesn't come from hardness. It comes from wisdom. You've learned that protecting your peace is not selfish. It's self-respect. You've probably also noticed that you attract deep souls, People who feel drawn to your calm, your stability, your light. They sense that you're not like the rest. You make them feel safe, not because you fix them, but because your energy gives them permission to be themselves. You don't compete, you don't compare, you simply connect. And that's what people remember most about you. Rare personalities also have a remarkable balance of empathy and detachment. You can care deeply yet stay centered. You understand others' pain without absorbing it. You can be compassionate without losing yourself. That balance is powerful because it allows you to love fully while maintaining inner peace. You've learned that the goal isn't to save everyone, but to stay whole enough to inspire them to save themselves. You likely see beauty where others see nothing special, in people's quirks, in imperfect moments, in life's contradictions. You understand that light and shadow coexist, that happiness and sadness are intertwined, that awareness gives you depth. You don't chase constant highs because you know meaning lives in contrast, in the quiet spaces between laughter and tears. And even though your path often feels lonelier, you wouldn't trade it. Because deep down, you know you're living with integrity. You know that even when no one's watching, you stay true to your values. That's rare. In a world that rewards performance, you choose authenticity. In a culture obsessed with being seen, you choose understanding. And in times of chaos, you remain a source of calm. You might not realize it, but people notice. They notice the way you handle pressure without losing your grace. They notice how you treat others with respect even when it's not returned. They notice your quiet confidence, your emotional maturity, your ability to rise above drama. That's the kind of strength that leaves a mark. Not loud, but lasting. And maybe right now, you're wondering if this kind of personality is a blessing or a burden. The truth is, it's both. Because feeling deeply means you'll also hurt deeply. Seeing truth means you'll see the world's darkness too. But it also means you'll experience a level of connection, purpose, and peace that most people never touch. You'll live fully awake. You'll love consciously. You'll walk through life with eyes open. And that's what makes your journey extraordinary. So if you've ever felt different, misunderstood, or out of place, understand this. It's not a flaw, it's a sign. You weren't made to fit in. You were made to remind others what it means to be real, to live with heart, with honesty, with depth. And that is the essence of a rare personality. You don't chase respect. You earn it by being consistent. You don't seek love. You radiate it through your actions. You don't try to impress. You inspire through authenticity. In a world of noise, you are silence. In a world of masks, you are truth. And in a world of temporary, you are timeless. So keep being who you are. The world needs that light more than ever.